Hi, this is Priyanka Chopra and you're watching Channel Y.
The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media.
Y Media Group, established in 2001, is a media company with a 360-degree approach in reaching our audience over 5 platforms: television, radio, newspaper, online news portal, and mobile app.
Y Media has newspaper, midweek, radio, South Asian pop.
Hi, I'm Amitabh Bachchan and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
Hi, this is Amir Khan and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
अब हर दिन सुने GTA का number 1 radio station FM 91.9.
All English 24/7 television network and Y Media Plus.
You are watching Channel Y. Channel Y.
Prime Minister, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be back.
Online, SouthAsianDaily.com. The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media.
Hello everyone, my name is Yudhir Jaswal. I'm the group editor at Y Media. Y Media serves you with multiple platforms: Channel Y, 24/7, Urdu, Punjabi, English, and in Hindi. And we serve with Y Plus 24/7 all English channel. Channel Y is available on Rogers 857, Bell 828, Telus 241A8, and also on Ignite 707. Please do visit our website southasiandaily.com. If you are at home, stay tuned with Channel Y. If you're driving, stay tuned with Radio Y, FM 91.9. For advertisement or any information, please contact 416-475-5000. Please do not forget to pick your copy of midweek newspaper. At this point, we'd like to welcome Regional Councillor from Caledon, Russo. Sir, a very warm welcome on Y Media. How are you?
Good, how are you? I've been listening in. I'm working on my Punjabi. It's still not there yet, but we'll get there. My brother Gurpartap can help me out. But, that's the relationship. The region appeal really should be working like brothers and sisters. Ultimately, right now, the province has made a decision. We have to work within the confines of what those decisions are. The problem is that a lot of those answers are not there yet. So we're having to figure out what is the next steps. So the reality is I'm confident the province will make us whole, but we will be there to make sure and advocate for our residents that we deserve to be made whole. And I do take the position that Brampton has used is, we deserve our fair share as well. And this is the reality is, I consider myself, a son of an immigrant. And very simply put is immigrants came to Canada. We build our livelihoods, we build our homes, and we typically do it as a family. And this scenario is like my eldest brother, I helped him build his house. My middle brother, I helped him build his house. And now when it's time to build my house, everyone wants to leave. And that's where the challenge is that, I'm not going to be getting into the whole tit for tat, but I do have to advocate for my residents. And the reality is there is going to be a challenge with money owing to municipalities and everything else. But if we work collaboratively, we do what's best for our residents, I think we'll get there.
I just want to add on to Councillor Russo's comments as well here. Councillor Russo is absolutely right. It's a scenario where I slightly disagree that, the big brother has built out, they've developed, and they're out the door. They're saying we're leaving the house. The middle brother, Brampton, is building their house, but we haven't put the roof on the top of our house. We haven't finished building everything. We're still waiting for the water connection to our house. We're still waiting to get our garbage bins out. and we haven't done that. And Caledon is even far behind in the process, and we don't
We're
want to
still
leave
pouring our
Caledon behind
foundation.
in that.
Yeah,
and Councillor
I
Russo
agree
would
with
agree that we, Councillor Russo and I were actually working the area I'm talking about, the northeast side of Brampton, where we need all the industrial development. That's the southeast side of Caledon that borders us. The road networks that we need between Brampton and Caledon, they're not finished. The infrastructure that's under the ground between Caledon and Brampton, that's not finished. And Councillor Russo and I are strongly advocating, and we were advocating the region of Peel to complete that till this announcement, obviously. So the future of those developments, whether it's in my wards, whether it's in Councillor Russo's wards, these are tens of thousands of potential jobs that are now put on hold. This is a lot of development that's already been backlogged for a long time because of red tape, but now it's being put on hold. So, I understand completely where Councillor Russo is coming from. I think we're saying the same thing.
Absolutely.
Since I have two regional councillors here, I'll quickly take this opportunity to ask both of you. What happens to the 7,000 employees that are working with the region of Peel 1st January 2025? Are all of them out of the job? And what happens to both of you? You both are regional councillors.
And we're less worried about us because, again, we're elected officials, we're blessed, we have the community support, and we'll go to an election again.
Okay.
But the employees at the Region of Peel, they're fantastic employees. They're public servants that some of them have been at the Region of Peel for more than 20 years. They've spent their entire life there. Somebody might have just started their new job this year. Somebody had a promising career ahead of them. They've done a lot of work for our residents, serving our residents, and this news is the biggest shock to them. Their future has an expiry date now of January 1st, 2025. Region of Peel staff, I know, they're in tears because their future is in doubt now, and their future is in question.
Are they? Did you talk to any of them personally? I mean, you just mentioned they're in tears right now.
Yeah, I don't want to share personal stories, but 100% I know that for a fact.
Okay.
Regional employees are in tears right now. Their future is scattered because if your company, if this was a major employer of 7,000 people that knows that they're going to shut down their factory on January 1st, 2025, they don't know what to do right now, and they're looking for jobs, and they're going to start looking for those. We're going to start losing regional staff to work on the files that we already have. So my heart goes out to all Region of Peel staff. They worked through the pandemic. Peel Public Health made sure that they kept our residents safe. These are critical services. Peel Police are a critical service. Our water systems are a very critical service, and they provide that service every single day. They don't take a break. They never took a break during COVID as well to provide us the service. So I want to thank them for their service, and I would like to say that we're trying to have your back on this. We're trying to make sure that everything turns out to be fair at the end of the day, but our hearts go out to all the employees at the Region of Peel.
Yeah, Councillor Russo.
I'll expand on that, and you know what, Councillor Toor is 100% right, and I think we're going to be fighting for our residents, whom are oftentimes our employees as well. So the employees of the region are both residents of Brampton, Mississauga, Caledon, and the reality is they're usually the best and the brightest. So this is where I guess is I'm confident in the province, but the province has an obligation to make sure that is something that's top and paramount, is the protection of those employees. Now, there's going to be scenarios that Brampton will need an insurgence of employees. Caledon will need an insurgence of employees. Mississauga. However, the other variable is that water and servicing will have to continue. There is talk about perhaps a board. Those boards will have to have the expertise that are already there. But where Councillor Toor is right is that this type of announcement creates an uncertainty and an anxiety that of a lot of employees don't know what to do and may be looking for jobs before the growth that is necessary is finished. And that's where I think we, as elected officials, need to show strength and need to show compassion and need to advocate for everyone, employees, residents, and businesses.
Yeah, and do we see any rise in the property taxes? Because my question left unanswered, because and this is a question for both of the regional councillors here. I'll start with you, Councillor Toor, and then Councillor Russo as well. So sure. Mississauga is clearly refusing. Mississauga's mayor, she's clearly said that we do not owe any money And yes, it's not status quo anymore. We know Mississauga is leaving. Just in case, the province doesn't make Brampton whole, the province, and I know you're also asking your fair share as well in Caledon, but just in case you are shortchanged, so do we increase the property taxes?
So let me tell you, Yadvirji, our plan is not to offset our fair share with our own taxpayer dollars by increasing our tax base again. We have been historically underfunded, and that's the share that we're asking, whether it's from the province, whether it's from the city of Mississauga, for us to get back. Because we've never done the math on this because we didn't think that we were going to come to this date. There's estimates of $1 billion, there's estimates of $4 billion, $5 billion. But we can't recover that money by increasing property taxes. We would have to increase a property tax by more than 1,000%, which is never practical. It's not the reality that we would hope for or the province would hope for. But of course, this will have some impact on our tax base, but we don't have any answers till we don't get the answers from the province on what the math is around this breakup. What are we going to be left with? What are we going to have to put at the table? Once we see that math, down the line, and I hope that is soon, we can make some of those decisions on how hard we need to go in this and make sure that we get our fair share, that we eliminate that risk from our residents.
Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown, he's clearly saying this. We spoke to him this afternoon as well. He's clearly saying he doesn't want Brampton Police Headquarters located in Mississauga. So obviously, if a new police headquarters is being built, and he was also saying that they're already, maybe the works had already started. You've looked for a place, but then, and Mississauga was also pitching in money. It was the region of Peel. But now, if Brampton has to build its own police headquarters, obviously the money has to come from somewhere. So I don't know. Yeah, Councillor Russo.
I echo what Councillor Toor said, is that the challenge right now for all of us is there's been an announcement without any information. My residents have been reaching out all day via email, the direct messages, and asking the exact same question. We have no intent to do that. And again, I will turn to our provincial partners to say, this is how we need to be made whole. The realities is that the province is mandating us to build hundreds and thousands of homes, specifically, even more so in Brampton and Mississauga, but Caledon, as we will be one of the fastest growing communities. Within the next 20 to 25 years, our population is mandated to quadruple. So the reality is in order to do so, the province has to figure out a solution. That's what the region was formed. It was formed exactly for that, is that we shared in that major infrastructure that isn't felt by one municipality all at once. With this potential separation, is that it makes it very challenging to fulfill those. But again, we will always just turn to our provincial partners and say, you need to figure this out because you've now forced us to do this. And the reality is if in the legalities show that Mississauga needs to pay its fair share to Brampton and to Brampton and Caledon, you're obligated to do so. Is that I don't think it's fair for anyone to take a stance right now and say that you don't owe this or you don't owe that. Is you need to do this with evidence. And the evidence has to be coming out in the next few months, years, because I do stress that this is not an overnight. Business still needs to continue. The garbage still needs to be collected. The paramedics still need to be served. The police still need to be funded. Is that this is not an overnight thing. There's a great deal of anxiety that this is finished and this is occurring today. The province has said it was going to be January of I believe 2025. I'm still very skeptical that's even possible. So we need to work towards these dates that have been given to us, but we need to do it with calm, with collected, and with reasonable approaches. I mean, listen, I'm looking at my counselor colleague, Counselor Toor. We have a border with one another. That border will always exist. I need to work collaboratively with him, regardless of if we are the region of Peel, because my taxpayer goes into Brampton to shop. His taxpayer comes into Caledon to go eat at time. So this is the reality: is the respect for the taxpayer has to be there, and that's where the province has to take responsibility. We will work in collaboration to do so, but if something is mandated on us, we need to be made whole. We've heard it repeatedly. We have an utmost confidence that will happen, but these answers need to be provided quickly so that anxiety from both residents, employees, and everyone else doesn't continue to escalate.
The only anxiety I can calm down right now is regarding the time frame, as you were just mentioning that yes, is it possible to do this thing by 1st of Jan 2025? We heard Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie. She says and she also gave an example that it can be done, and she says sometimes you got to take off the band-aid right away. And Mississauga also wants to be made whole, and then so does Brampton, and so does Caledon. But another point, now my question would be, as you were just mentioning, and this is to you, Councillor Russo first, and of course to Councillor Toor as well. If you say that yes, it's the obligation for the province might walk away. They would say, because in today's press conference, this was discussed that is York region also going to do something like that? They have different cities in the region of York, so is York region also going to split or something like that? But Minister Steve Clark, the minister in charge, he clearly said this: no request has been put forward by any other region. So whether it's Durham, whether it's York, so nothing of that sort. The request was only put forward from the region of Peel. So now here the Prince could walk away.
From the city of Mississauga.
Okay, I mean from the region of Peel, in particular by Mississauga. So when we're talking about, yeah, you're right, thank you. Yeah, so when we're talking about different regions, so other regions, there has been no request. It is officially stated by the minister today. So from that perspective, the minister could easily walk away. The minister could say that here we are, we're walking away. Why? Because you asked for it, we gave it to you, here are the 5 members, they're going to take care of everything, and we are out of this. Because tomorrow, if at all the province were to take a bigger bill, say for instance, I heard Patrick Brown saying in north of at least $1 billion. The total cost is 2 billion, 4 billion, that's a different issue, but he's asking something around north of $1 billion. So the province, if at all the province were to support that, then there could be other municipalities asking that why? This is only for Peel and region. Why would we pay the bill? So the province could always walk away. So what do we do, Councillor Russo?
Well, I take a different approach. I believe the province cannot walk away. The reality is, back to what I said, there's a fundamental respect that has to be given to the taxpayer. And the reality is the municipalities are creatures of the province. This is something that the province has mandated on us, so we will need guidance on how to get there. The dollar amount is going to be always the challenge. That's the simplicity of anyone that's ran a business, anyone that runs a household. It's always going to be dollars and cents. But we need the province to tell us how they expect us to deliver 1.5 million homes if we can't get a sewer pipe to Mayfield and serve our residents in Caledon. It's physically impossible. So there's an element of reality is that anyone can say they can walk away, but very similar to, I guess, where Brampton's position is from Mississauga is you may say you don't owe money, and I don't even want to argue this, is that the reality is accounting is accounting. And if a lawyer and a judge show X, then there's a legal liability. There's legal liabilities here. And the Caledon resident has been paying into the region for almost 50 years. The Brampton resident has been doing the same, as has the Mississauga resident. But I really like Councillor Toor's analogy is Mississauga is finished building its house. Brampton still has to actually put the roof on and a few finishing touches. I think we're just building the foundation right now. And without the province stepping in, we cannot get it done because they've now stripped us away from the actual tools that were there that allowed it, and that was the region appeal. The region appeal allowed for that water infrastructure. That region appeal allowed for the paramedics to actually pool funds and take care of the residents of Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon. Um, if that pool of funds are not there, simply put, is that there there is an inability of paying for those services. So I understand where your question is coming from. If the province says I'm washing my hands, the reality is it's an impossibility because their resident is our resident, and this is where the people will have to speak up and say we demand more. And again, I'm not even getting confrontational because I do not have even a remote inkling that the province will do so. How then the money is spread, I think that's going to be debatable, and I think that's where a little bit of speculation will be. But in terms of leaving us abandoned, I have no concerns about that.
Yeah, Councillor Toor, your point on this one, because Mayor Patrick Brown, he's clearly stated this afternoon when we spoke to him. So he said this, yes, he's been promised, but he hasn't seen anything. No, I mean, you would be made whole, but the point being, has province really promised any dollar value to this? We're listening from a mayor that this is the dollar amount. So nothing is in paper, nothing has been promised. So tomorrow, what would happen?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. We don't have the math today from the province. We're not promised anything from the province other than the announcement that was made that this is the expiry date. This is a panel that we're going to create and we'll announce further details to come. Everything else beyond that is speculation. What they're going to do with York region or any other region, we could speculate about those things, but today the province came out and talked specifically about the region appeal. And every government, whether it's the province, feds, or the municipal government itself, every statement that we make, it has consequences. Every new initiative that we start, we have to follow through, and we're obligated to see it through. That is through legislation, and there's no way around it. There's no speculation around one fact, that my term, Councillor Russo's term, the province's term also has an expiry date. When we come back to our residents again asking for their vote at the end of an election cycle, we show them that here's the work that was promised and here's the work that was delivered. Here's something that we said and we followed through our action and we've delivered it. So there's no speculation around that. So with the province's announcement today and saying that they're going to appoint that panel, we expect them to do that as soon as they can, as soon as the legislation actually passes. It's a bill right now, and as soon as it becomes into law, we expect them to do that. We expect them to get working and give us the math so that we have our own math too that we're going to be working on and see where it adds up and see what the missing pieces are. And let's decide what the future of Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon is going to be. Whatever is best for our residents. And like Councillor Russo said, it's not just my residents. It's not just Councillor Russo's residents. These are residents that live in Ontario. They're residents too. This government is also elected by the people. The people put their trust in them, and the people trust them to do their job, just the way that they trust us to do our job as well. So, the whole foundation of this government is always built on trust, and we trust that the province of Ontario will do what's in the best interest of its people, and we will make sure that, me personally, I will fight for the best interest of my residents in Brampton, and if I can speak for Councillor Russo, he will be fighting for the best interest of his residents in Caledon.
Last couple of questions before I let Councillor Russo go, and we'll carry on the discussion. Just a couple of more questions. This one is very important. We need to address this. There was a discussion of making this as a super city as well. I know that may not be possible now, but then many residents are still asking that yes, there was a possibility as the city of Toronto, out of the other municipalities, you may create one city. So here is Toronto, one city. Why don't we have Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon as one city? So Russo, why don't we start with you?
Well, again, that was the direction that I believe most of us thought it was going in. That's the reality. Is up until a few weeks ago, the chatter out there was more amalgamation in terms of dollars and cents, without knowing the details. Just makes a little bit more sense because we're not fighting about assets. It all becomes part of the same pool of assets. This one becomes a little bit more, I will say a lot more complicated, because you're referring to division of assets. You're referring to boards and committees and so forth that are being made. So that's the challenge, is that we thought it was potentially going that way, or perhaps just staying status quo. The province chose to go the other direction and put forward this bill. As Councillor Toor said, this is a bill. It still needs to go through 2 more readings and then achieve royal assent. That being said, and I'll put this out there, is the realities are that there are possibilities, I don't know for sure, but there are possibilities that as the work is getting done and the assessments are being made and people are doing forensic audits and everything else, there's still 3 years in the term of this provincial government that they may say that, hey, this doesn't make sense. So we need to be prepared for anything, because the reality is we advocate for our residents. My mindset is the same way that this came about, and I didn't see or think that this was going to happen. I'm still elected for the next 3.5 years, as Councillor Toor is. The provincial government is still elected for another 3 years. Things can change again, and we need to be aware that that's a possibility. Not necessarily always plausible, but it's possible. So we just need to make sure that when we're making any of these decisions, our residents and our businesses are being thought of. And the reality is this is going to be complex, and we need to do it right. But I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think that there's 100% that this will always go through. The same way that I didn't think that this was going to be announced on a Thursday after the province was in Brampton last week making an announcement for GO trains, and now things happen very fast here. So I don't know what tomorrow brings. I'm just going to be continuing to fight, as Councillor Toor said, for my residents, and make sure that our voices are heard. We're going to be extremely respectful, but we're going to be ferociously advocating for our residents.
I like your optimism, and I hope that happens. I like your optimism. And to your point further, I agree that if it was a super city, then there won't be much of a fight for the assets. Everybody would be working towards a common goal. And this is not merely a speculation anymore. Even in this press conference, it was discussed that this divorce, we're talking about divorce, we're making headlines as feud. And while, when one mayor was talking, we're talking about Mayor Bonnie Crombie and Mayor Patrick Brown here. One mayor was talking, the other was making faces, and they were saying, do you even trust each other? So this was the discussion right there at the Queen's Park today. So we could face some challenges while this divorce happens.
Yeah, and I would like to echo exactly Councillor Russo's comments. We can guarantee what yesterday was, but we can never guarantee what tomorrow brings. And that being said, you give the example of the City of Toronto. I think it's always easier to bring things together and bring everybody in the same house versus, dividing things in and trying to keep peace amongst everybody. City of Toronto is a good example that also highlights the province's inconsistencies because, when the first term started of this government at the province of Ontario, they slashed the council size in half in the City of Toronto. They said City of Toronto is a city the size of 3 million people in population roughly, and they slashed the council size into half, saying that that's going to make it more efficient. But today, Minister Clark, said at the legislature that we're bringing together in this region appeal that has 1.5 million population, and it is growing. To make sure that things work more efficiently, we're going to divide them, and effectively, we're going to have more politicians at the table making decisions for 1.5 million people. So there's some inconsistencies around that, but like Councillor Russo said, we are working with that optimism. If we lose that optimism, then we wouldn't be able to look forward to a new day. Every single day is a new day. You wake up, you rise up to the challenge. That's what the residents elect you for. And you go out there and you fight for them. You fight for what's right for them, and you hope for the best at the end of the day. So that's what we're doing as councillors, and I believe that's what the province of Ontario will be doing for the residents as well.
I'll rest my last question because I think there are many callers, so I'll allow maybe one or two calls and then we'll let Councillor Russo go and we'll carry on the discussion. Hello, welcome to Channel Y. On behalf of Y Media, I'd like to welcome you. Can I get your name, please? Hello?
Thank you, Mr. Jaswal. My name is Paul. I'm from Brampton.
Please go ahead, sir.
Mr. Jaswal, you're doing a great job. Like, you know, it's a tremendous coverage, which I haven't seen on other channels. And thank you, Mr. Toor and Mr. Russo. Like, they're doing a great job, no doubt about it. But thing is, end of the day, Brampton will be the loser. With this amalgamation, you know, between Ms. Saga and Brampton again will be the loser. So, because nothing could be done for Bramptonians, as they have done nothing before, I think in the long race, Brampton will be the loser again. Thank you very much for giving me time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Thank you for all the kind words. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Next call, just one last call, and then we'll take calls later on. We'll have to discuss with the panel. Yeah, one more call. Hello. 30 seconds for you. Sir. Hello, sir. May I know who's online? Your name, please.
Yes, sir. Hi there. This is Arthur. Actually, as Russo is saying that we're going to have some, we welcome some of the advantage that Brampton can collaborate with us. Regarding Highway 413, if it has, I don't know if it's still in the process of approval. Most of the land will be used from the Caledon side. Will there be any challenges that we will be facing? Also, will Caledon have its own mayor as well, or it will be still one mayor, Brampton and Caledon? And regarding like how provincial government always announces the deficits that province is in, so are there going to be numbers like that too, or this city, Caledon city, has this much deficit, or Brampton has this much deficit, so we have to give them loan, or they're asking for loan to keep up with the services? Should we be worried about those kind of situations that are going to be arising in the future? Because why builders are not coming in? Like, why didn't we invite builders to build Brampton at the first place in the beginning? Why where did we lack there? Were it our councillors, or were they our local MPPs, or even mayors? Like Bonnie Crombie dedicated her services to Mississauga, as we see it, how the development has been raised over the 20 years. What happened here? Like, well, you know, that's my concern. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think Councillor Toor would like to address that question. Please go ahead, sir.
One, just to make a clarification for public knowledge, Councillor Russo and I, we share our boundaries, but we don't share our mayors. Mayor of Caledon is Annette Groves, and we have our own mayor in Brampton here, Mayor Patrick Brown. Just to clarify that, and that is going to be the structure going forward as well. I do agree that systemically we've always been left behind, whether it came to funding for a hospital, whether it came to funding for our transit system, whatever the case is. Brampton does seem to be on the losing end, and here's us hoping that, you know, this time around maybe we won't be at the losing end. And just to show that, you know, we are working hard for our residents. We are being an active voice. As much as you know, it may appear that Mayor Crombie may be a champion for her city, because this seems like a clear win for the mayor in that city. I would like to assure you that for the first time ever, we had a unanimous council that, alongside with their mayor, we took a City of Brampton transit bus. We drove it all the way to Queen's Park, physically there to hear everything, to speak about it, to raise our voice, to raise the voice of our residents. We're working hard, working really actively. So I'll just take this time to also thank my colleagues, because this is the first time ever we've had a council and a mayor that's gotten together and worked towards the same common goal. We're rowing in the same direction. We had our senior leadership team along with us, everybody at Queen's Park, to a point that heads were turning and people were wondering, how is Brampton here together in such a big force today? So we're working hard for our residents, and we will continue to do that. And that's the reason why we're here on media. That's the reason why you will see us that for the next year and a half, till the province makes a decision, we will be at the door of the province every single day, making sure that your voice is heard.
Though we'll keep on asking you very, very tough questions always. That's from the last 22 years what Y Media has been doing. But without blurring the lines, I will appreciate that yes, there was a division in the council most of the time. And when our Y Media team was there at the Queen's Park, they did acknowledge this thing, that yes, the council seems to be together, and you took a Brampton transit bus, traveled all the way together, which is good. We compliment on that one at least. Sure, that was a good move. But I'll wrap up here and we'll let Councillor Russo go. But before we let him go, I think the caller Ashwir, he was referring to that in case the cities get together, amalgamation, that's what he was talking, then will there be possibly one way? That was asking. And another question he was asking, if Councillor Russo, and you want to comment on that, was, I know Bill 23, there's so many other issues, but we'll leave it for some other day. He was asking about Highway 413. So since the caller has asked, in case you want to say anything, Councillor Russo and yourself. Councillor Russo.
Well, I mean, I was going to allude to the speakers. The 413, again, is a provincial initiative. And the reality is we have no ability of even having any influence on that, with the exception of advocating. The federal government has put an EA on that, and so it's basically at a pause right now until that's completed. The realities are this: is Councillor Toor and I will continue to have a border. We don't know what tomorrow brings, as Councillor Toor indicated. But one thing that I can guarantee, tomorrow both he and I will call one another and continue to advocate for our business community and for our residents. We will not stop just because of this announcement. Councillor Toor alluded to it, is that the industrial center in the northeast corner of Brampton abuts the southeast corner of Caledon. Those are million square feet of industries that are popping up potentially weekly, monthly, because of people want to be in Peel region. People want to be in Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon. The realities are, and this is where, obviously people have not been doing what's best at times. That area was underserved, and now we are trying to get it done because there are jobs, there are economic opportunities, there's public safety issues that are occurring there on a daily basis. So this is where I'm just going to say this, is total respect for the province and total respect for this decision. We have to work within the confines of this decision. But tomorrow we go to work. We go to work and continue to get done what we were elected to do. And, Councillor Toor and I, Councillor Singh and I, we have been in contact daily and weekly to have some of these discussions, because when that area prospers, it's going to be an economic driver. And ultimately, again, one taxpayer. Doesn't matter if you're paying federal tax, provincial tax, or your property tax. There's only one taxpayer, and we need to respect that person and those people. And I believe we're trying to do our best to do so. That's why, respecting all this media coverage, and there's lots of questions, we will continue to try and get the answers to those questions. We will ask the questions on behalf of our residents. But tomorrow we're going to work, and we're going to keep bringing those businesses to our communities, giving jobs to our communities, looking for healthcare for our communities, looking for actual prosperity, parks, and everything that our community needs. And that's happening as soon as tomorrow. And in fact, I think, Councillor Toor, if you're not busy at 9 o'clock, we can start.
All right. Thank you so much, Councillor.